Hi, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. So good to be here with you. Oh my gosh, I love seeing all the hellos in the chat, and I'd love to know where you're listening in from. I am Anne. I'm Anne Bérubé. I'm a spiritual coach and a spiritual teacher, and the author of the Burnout Antidote, a spiritual guide to empowerment for empaths, highly sensitive people, and overgiver. And I'm going to tell you right away, I wrote the book for myself because I myself am an empath. I am highly sensitive and I am an overgiver, and I have gone through burnout. And so I am coming to you this morning from Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is where I live with my family, my kids, and my husband. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Terry. So good. So good to see you. So good to be with you. So, we're going to spend a good half an hour together. I'm so excited. And so, I want to talk to you about a spiritual solution to burnout because to me, burnout is a crisis in meaning, right? And it comes when the root of our burnout really comes from a place of misalignment with who we really are, why we came to this earth at this time, and our purpose, and our reason for being here. And often our limiting beliefs, right? It's like what we acquired from our conditioning, from our childhood, from society, from school, from our coaches, from our teachers, the conditioned beliefs around who we are, our identity, the things that we believe about ourselves that are not true, are in the way of us feeling fully aligned, being fully connected to our core essence. And to our core essence is who we really are and who we came to express and to manifest in this world, in this lifetime, right? And so I'll tell you a little bit about my story first, and then we'll go a little deeper into redefining really burnout, redefining empathy, redefining service, all these things that we have ideas about that really are not serving us anymore, and they're not allowing us to be in our full power, because sometimes we think that giving everything we've got is the most loving thing we can do to someone with someone we love, or a client or a patient, but it truly is not. It's actually taking away from our powerful impact, from that unique medicine that we have to share. And instead of kind of diffusing and spreading our energy everywhere, bringing it into that single point focus of our gift, single point focus of that unique medicine that we have, then when we do serve and help and support and love from that place, it has a huge impact on the world, and on the people that we love. So, about 20 some years ago, in 2001, I was in a really bad car accident. And on the impact, my lungs partially collapsed and my liver lacerated, and I was unconscious. And I tried to regain consciousness, and my lungs still weren't working. So I passed out again. And then it's when it happened, the thing that completely changed my life, this near death experience. I saw in front of my mind's eyes, like a movie, my life, not the one that I was living, but the life that I came here to live. And I knew it because it felt more real than anything I'd ever experienced. I could see all the people that I loved. I could see the people that loved me. I could see that I was teaching, that I was writing, that I could even see my husband that I have now and my children. It was so, so clear. And the feeling that I had in my body, in my heart, was so powerful. It was this love, this divine love, a love with no opposites. Wayne Dyer used to say that. He said, "And I love you with no opposites." He was such a great model for divine love, right? You just knew that all of you was included in this love. And so in that moment, in the car accident, that feeling that I had in my heart was so, so, so powerful that it never left me in the center of my chest, this feeling of love. And I had no reference point for that kind of love. And I'm sure some of you can relate growing up with love being conditional, with love being a transaction, understanding that love comes when I do something for you, understanding that love, I receive love and I am loved if you're happy with me, if you need me and I help you, right? And so when I woke up the next day in the hospital, I promised myself I would change my ways. I knew I was heading down the wrong path. And I know at 23, you're supposed to be going down the wrong path and making mistakes and changing your mind and all that. But for some reason, I wasn't meant to go down the wrong path for very long. So that peak experience, that near death experience really redirected my life. And so I started to get curious about how I could merge the two lives, the one that I saw in the car accident that night and the one that I was living. And so I started with working to love myself more because my relationships were really messy. Um, because my needs as a child, my emotional needs as a child were not a priority. I was dating people who were on the narcissist spectrum, and some of you can relate, right? Where it was never, it would never be about me. It would never be about us. It would always be about the other person. So I had to learn how to redefine love for myself and make choices that were loving for me. And so about 5 years went by, and I met this beautiful person, and I fell in love, and I could see that this person loved me unconditionally. This person, I for the very first time in my life, I was loved, and I was free. I didn't know that you could be loved and you could be free at the same time. And we had, our first child, and I was in the middle of writing my PhD thesis, and I was living with intense sinus pain for about 2 years. So it started with a little, sinus infection after a cold, take antibiotics, it goes away. Then the next cold comes and it just doesn't go away, it takes longer, and eventually it's just always there. I would wake up in the morning, it's the first thing I could think about. I'm in pain. The last thing I think about when I go to bed at night. And if you've been living with chronic pain, you know that after a while, it just takes your joy away. It takes your enthusiasm for life. It takes your um, energy away. And I thought to myself, like, that's impossible. Like, this can't be my life. Like, I love to write. I was in the middle of writing my thesis. And every time I would sit in front of the computer to write, I would just completely my head would hurt even more and I'd have to stop. I saw allergists, I saw acupuncturist, I went and got x-rays, I changed my diet, I even got, healing and energy healing. Nothing would work. And I remember my Reiki teacher saying, like, sometimes you just have to live with stuff, with things. And it's like, no, this is impossible. Like, writing is my favorite thing to do, and there's no way that this is going to be my life. So one day my mother-in-law invited me to come to a workshop. It was called Women in Leadership, and at the time that title really appealed to my intellect. I was thinking, well, one day I might just be a professor and I'll be head of the department, and I'm already pretty bossy, so women in leadership sounds great. So my ego was loving the title. And I'm glad that I got tricked to go into this workshop, because if I knew really what was going to happen in that workshop, I don't think I would have gone. So I'm grateful for the universe and my mother in law for tricking me into going into this workshop. So I walk into the room and there's about 12 women in a circle. And the teacher is sitting right in front of me, and she starts to talk about a leadership that comes from emotions and deep within and intuition. And it's feminine leadership. So it's like embodied and it's in the cells and in the fascia and it's in the core. And breath, deep breath is really important for this kind of leadership. She's breathing deeply and she's inviting everybody to breathe deeply. And the more she's talking, the more people around the room start to cry spontaneously. And nobody seems to think this is a problem. And I'm thinking, like, hey, we're in a leadership course. Like, what is happening? People are just crying and nobody seems to think it's a problem. The more she's talking, oh my goodness, the pressure in my head is just even worse. It's so painful. All I want to do is like wait until she takes a little break so I can go to the washroom, excuse myself, and not come back. Well, she never took that break. And she looks at me and she could tell I'm a pressure cooker. And she says, are you okay? And I could feel my heart like pounding, saying, sweetheart, you are not okay. Please tell her you're not okay. And my head was like, don't you dare. Don't say a word because if you say something, you're on your own, girl. Like we can't help you, right? I'm sure you can relate to the feeling of your head and your whole body saying like mayday mayday, don't say anything because if you start to cry, like it's going to be like an explosion and you're going to make a fool out of yourself or. And so I said, no, I'm fine. And then she said, oh, okay, well, I encourage you to take a deep, deep breath. And again, my heart's like, take that breath. And my head's like, don't. And I took this deep, counterinstinctual, right? Counterinstinctual because my whole body was like, shut it down, but deeply intuitive breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as I breathe out, I'm the one in this mess of snot and tears and water's coming down my face. And I'm shaking and I'm trembling and there's sounds coming out of my mouth. It's like a tsunami completely took over me. My whole body is processing something. She even comes over and she puts her hand on my back and she says, everyone, this is what it looks like when someone's held 28 years of emotional baggage in their bodies. And so she made an example out of me. So I just kind of, sat there, which felt like minutes, but it was probably just 30 seconds. And nobody seemed to be, reminded, nobody minded, nobody seemed to be worried about it at all. And they just kind of, just were breathing on their own. And then my body started to settle, completely settle. And it was so peaceful. And the feeling of stillness was really familiar. It was very similar to the feeling I had that night in the car accident. It was so calm. And my sinus pain was completely gone. And that was, 18 years ago, and it has never come back. And so that was huge for me. That was a big turning point. The night in the car accident when I had the near death experience, I kind of saw the what of my life, what I wanted and who I really was. But that day in the workshop, I found the how I could merge the two lives. And my body was the answer. And so I realized that day, I understood that my body is a biological processor of energy and information. And I was never taught that. We were never taught that in school, that it's actually designed to process energy and information, energy that is lodged in your body from your childhood, and also the energy of your higher self, of your soul, of your core essence. And we stop that movement of energy and information when we live mostly in our heads. And so the book, The Burnout Antidote, is really about an embodied approach to allowing these things that are living in our cells, in our fascia, in our organs, in our muscles that were registered from the environment, from the parenting, from the people, the authority people that were in our lives as children, to process and move that energy in the body and in allowing meaning, true meaning, spiritual meaning, the reason why you're here, to take up space in the body. So when we live up in our minds and we live mostly in our thoughts, which is really truly most of us. And I'm type A and I'm an academic, I'm Capricorn, triple whammy of naturally I tend to go up in my head for my identity, for who I know myself to be, for where I'm going. And so I since that day I've worked to bring my attention down. And I like to use the feather as an anchor point. So you can kind of just visualize it right now with me. Like you can even close your eyes. Imagine that your core from the top of your head all the way down to the base of your spine is hollow. And so you can close your eyes and just visualize this little feather at the top of your head and ever so gently bring the feather down first behind your eyes. Deep breath. And then down behind your nose. Deep breath. And when we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth for this, okay? And the feather goes down into the throat. See how it feels to take a deep breath right there with your attention in the form of a white feather in the throat. We drop the jaw when we breathe out and we make a little sound. It really massages the vagus nerve and gets your parasympathetic system engaged so your thoughts can calm down and your attention can be in the sensations in your body. And the feather continues her way down into your chest, in the center of your heart. Notice how it feels. You're not trying to think about a story or you're just feeling the sensation. It's abstract. The inner world, your inner landscape is abstract. And then the feather goes down past the heart and goes into the solar plexus. Ooh, this beautiful fire center. Take a few deep breaths right there with the feather. And then the next deep breath, the feather goes into the belly. And there's a lot of emotional baggage in the belly. It's where we keep our family system stuff. So mother, father, sister, brother. And I talk a lot about this in the book, like decoding your inner world, decoding all these different places in your body and what do they mean? And how can you move it? It just wants to move. What's trapped there wants to move. It doesn't need 10 years of talk therapy. It doesn't need stories. It needs your attention and your breath into the sensation. That's it. It's simple, but it works. I've been doing this for 15 years with clients and in workshops and one-on-ones, and it's the most powerful way to move forward because growth is the only thing that is consistent about us, and we resist it so much. But burnout comes to tell us it's time to grow. So it's a gift. So if we can see it as an invitation as opposed to something that is happening to us and that it's something that we brought on for ourselves and that we're not enough and again we're failing, like that's not true. It's almost like a rite of passage. Like burnout is intelligent. It's the way your body says, I'm not going to do more damage and we're going to get your attention because something beautiful And more of you is on the other side of this change and this transformation. And so when you follow the feather and you're in your belly, then you can go all the way down to the base of the spine. So you can bring the feather down at the base of your spine and take a few deep breaths down there. And this is the hot breath from the ancient Hawaiians, and I do talk about it in the book. I describe the practice. So powerful. You do 3 of those breaths, and your whole body is ready and open. Ready and open. So take a few deep hot breaths right there at the base of your spine, and notice how when your attention is far away from your thoughts and far away from concerns and worries, how still it can be in your body. And from that place, you can really understand. You can start to decode and start to sense little sensations inside your body. Little twinge, little heat, little pressure, maybe tightening. It could be pain. All of it belongs. And then the process of healing is about talking to that sensation like we talk to a little girl, a little boy, a child. And this is the center of this book, is the inner child. We have a conversation with him or her, hi, sweetheart. Let's say we sense it in the heart right now. And we breathe deeply. Hi, sweetheart. I love you. I love you so much. You're so beautiful. I'm so sorry you're hurting right now. How can I help you? How can I help you? And so this embodied approach to healing, to even to spirituality, because it's not about knowing source or knowing God outside of ourselves. It's really about remembering it through the body. Below the neck. I say go below the neck and go see what your temple is holding, because you are the universe. Everything's happening there. And so when we redefine burnout and we see it as an intelligent event that is actually inviting us to grow more into who we came here to be, then that meaning really helps us move forward with energy, with enthusiasm. But yes, some things fall to the wayside. Like some things are completely, people and things do not belong in your world anymore. And that's okay. And it's okay to grieve that too. But it is part of growth and change and transformation. Just remember, when the caterpillar is in the cocoon, it's just goo. It doesn't look like a caterpillar anymore, and it doesn't look like a butterfly yet. When you're in burnout, you're in the cocoon. And so you have to give yourself the space to let go of who you've known yourself to be, and also not attach to who you want to be, but allow and invite your core essence to move through you to become the more that you're meant to be, who you were here to be fully. And so with this, we have to also redefine service. Service comes from a full cup. We don't deplete ourselves. We have to be full and in reverence for ourselves first. And then when we serve from that place of reverence and full of light, that single point focus medicine of who we really are is powerful, and it is unique, and it is to the point, and people are affected, and you have a great impact on the world. And then we also redefine empathy. For empaths, empathy can be toxic. So there's a difference between contagion of emotion, where I feel what you feel and I'm in your feelings with you. There, I'm out of my body in your feelings, instead of being in my body in reverence for my light. I understand that you're feeling these feelings. I understand that you're sad. I understand what you're going through, but I'm not taking that on at all. And I hold your light. I'm in reverence for your light. And I hold you for the more that you can become. So very, very, very different. So I talk in depth about all these things in my book. the Burnout Antidote. And I would love to open it to questions. We have 5 minutes left, but if somebody has a question for me, I'd be happy to answer. Does the book give any tips for how to protect yourself from taking on other people's pain? Yes, exactly. So the part about empathy and high sensitivity in the book, which I believe is chapter 7, absolutely. I'm one of those people who is, so Jen, yes, I am one of those people who is a fixer, and I often get bogged down from when someone I care about has a problem that I can solve. Absolutely, and you know, really knowing that you can't help everyone, and that there's actually people waiting for your medicine, and that you can help those people in a very powerful way is also a big step in transcending burnout. Is saying, you know what, I can't help everyone, but when I'm in my power and I help someone, it's really, really powerful. So, yes, absolutely. And so every chapter has 3 exercises, and they're mostly meditations or shamanic journeyings or, you know, exercises like audio. And so you can read them, but they're all recorded on my website for free. And so it says in here, bérubé.com/burnout antidotes, and you'll find all 21 of them there. And so instead, you know, you can read them, but you can also just kind of lay back and listen to them. So there's audio and videos there on my website. And so of um, there's a lot of tips and tricks and tangible. So you can kind of do the process. It's a 7-step process. You could do it in a week, kind of go through a healing process in a week, or you could take a whole year, you know, and take one step at a time. But it is a powerful 7-step process that I take all my clients through in the workshops, in the one-on-one. And, you know, it can also be seen as a guide to, you know, soul realization, because the burnout comes to say, hey, you're missing the mark right now. And there's so much ahead for you. And there's so much meaning and there's so much joy. Let's help you. Bring your attention somewhere else, so that from like your thoughts and from what you think you need and what you think you want, right? It's really about inviting and allowing core essence and source and God and universe to move through this beautiful device, this instrument, as opposed to controlling and managing our lives. Very, very different, right? Controlling and managing is saying, like, I'm in control of the magic and the mystery. But inviting and allowing is saying, wow, I'm co-creating with the universe, and I I am ready. I am ready to know myself even more. We always have an opportunity to know ourselves even more. Always. And it's a, you know, it continues for me, right? It continues for everyone. It's a lifetime journey, you know, and each layer brings you closer and closer and closer to being um, a light being in a body, but a light being first in a body. Mm. Thank you so much, everyone. It was so, 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 so good to be with you. The Burnout Antidote. Let me know what you think. I'm on social media, and you know, I'd love to hear from you. Um, and yeah, thank you for spending some time with me. Love, love, love. Thank you, Banshee. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pamela. Oh, I'm so glad that this is exactly what I needed. Perfect. I'm so glad. Thank you. You're very welcome, Jennifer. You're welcome, Anne. You're welcome, Jamie. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for saying that. So much love to you. Right back at you. Great big virtual and spiritual hug to all of you. I look forward to meeting you in person someday.